Okay, this is a very low-tech, slightly more detailed tour type thing of this Lego city that I used in the background of those two videos, and I thought, sure, I've been documenting Lego stuff that I've built for my entire life. Might as well document this, which it may surprise you to learn is possibly the largest one ever, not that I've done. Anyway, this was built over the course of how many months? September, October.
September through like December.
Yeah, and with additional bits added up until now. It's currently the start of August, for whenever this comes out. As a combination of pre-existing sets and eBay acquisitions by myself and my dear fiance. So I'm just going to kind of show it in some amount of detail. Some amount of these sets were things that I already had and that we rebuilt. Like that, the petrol station was one of those. That was a birthday or Christmas present. It doesn't matter. But we have an excellent storage organisation system, but we didn't have that at this point. It was in less efficient ice cream tubs. And also it's organised by colour, which I've since learned is not the way you're supposed to do it. But it's fine. The keen-eyed amongst you may notice, amongst you, 7 people are going to watch this, but anyway, some of you may notice, one of you, I don't know, may notice a bit of a skew towards sets from kind of 2007 through 14. And that isn't by mistake. That is, it's not even nostalgia, I wouldn't describe it as. I don't really get nostalgia. Every kind of bit of time of my life of massively varying size and duration has just kind of a gut vibe to it that feels like it's the same kind of feeling as nostalgia, but each period is completely different in terms of the actual feeling, and some of them are better than others. And that era of especially city sets is very much just like, oh, that really scratches the itch of that specific vibe. And I don't know what it is, because even sets from that era and theme that I didn't even really know existed yet, even back in the day. Like some of them, like this garage, was one that I got on eBay for this, and that was a classic back in the day. Of, oh yeah, see that in the shop and think that looks cool. But then some of them, yeah, but there's some sets I'm sure from that kind of era that I didn't know about as a child, but they still have the same vibe to them now somehow. So I don't know what it is. I suppose designs used to be kind of a bit more blocky, and now they're a bit more curved. But that's about it, and even that's quite subtle in some cases. There's kind of a dip in the like 2013 area of that time period. The only real thing in here from that era being basically the museum. Although I do really like that museum. That's always been one since back then. That was like, oh, that's like, I've always really enjoyed kind of civilian buildings, which you don't get as much. Same with people. Back in the day, when I didn't have that many sets of my own, relatively speaking, and I was working mostly based on bits that my parents had had. I had a lot of space, a lot of old space little sets and figures, and always kind of thought, darn, I wish I had more just like general civilians. So that I definitely have that now, so that's good. Particular classic for the that kind of era is these two, that 3-story building from that big construction site set, and the shops from the Pizza Corner, is it called? As well as some figure parts that stopped being manufactured after that kind of era. Like this is really poor at zooming in on this kind of thing, but the face of that worker, that's a classic that I never actually had until now. And then another detail is that in the marketing for sets from that era, they would often use older figures, like late 90s figures. So weirdly, 90s figures, like there's quite a few over here, kind of have an association in my head with the era that I particularly like, and therefore they feel like part of that era. I don't know, I spend a lot of time looking at the like diorama promotional layout things in the back of the instruction manuals. I don't know what the technical term is for those, and just appreciating kind of the the background models and stuff. In fact, over there is a crowd of civilians looking at a burning building, which is directly inspired by this. I'll just edit it in. There's a few details like that. I can't think of what. Oh yeah, the that table and chairs outside the pizza restaurant with that older parasol piece. That's a direct reference to this. There's a couple of kind of older figure civilians over by the fire station as well, which is kind of a similar vein to that one. The train station has all manner of other characters at it. There's a Friends mini doll. There's 2 Fabuland figures, and there's a Jack Stone figure. Yeah, there's a solid chance literally nobody knows what we're even talking about there, but just it was not successful at all. It's from like 2002. These weird like action figure-y people. It didn't catch on at all. That came in a bulk lot with a bunch of other old figures. I didn't specifically seek that out, and I already had the Fabuland ones. This farm field technique is another reference to some marketing material, just scaled down quite a bit. This little barn was a custom built after being designed in Lego Digital Designer. I don't really have that much else to say. Oh, we've got the mascot of the Lego Club magazine, whose name escapes me at this moment. And to be fair, actually, that garage that I was talking about is slightly modified to make it slightly narrower, and also to incorporate a bit of that car showroom from a few years later. Bank over there, specifically... I specifically wanted to add a bank because basically since 2014 I've always wanted to have an actual bank building on which I could stick those 2 pieces from the Lego Movie Getaway glider set to spell the word bank. I've thought I've got this bank sign. One day I will build a bank and affix it to it. Big Ben over here, slightly awkwardly in the corner, is indeed from that Cars 2 set. Someone in a Lego shop that we showed this to identified that as well, and I just thought, yes, you're alright in my book. Some bits of scenery, like the kind of park police chase over here, are partially set up. Specifically the bit in the park itself with that specific figure chasing that specific other figure were specifically done like that to use as references to the mobile game, the video about which I used this in the background of. So everything here is basically either a reference to that, a reference to some kind of mid to late 2000s marketing, or just kind of because it looks nice. Over in this corner there's a couple of kind of custom frontages just to fill in that space, and then I will at some point do an entire video talking about the decline of base plates, but I finally possess one of these terrained base plates from 15,000 years ago, and I'm very pleased with that. Back in that corner is... where do I even start explaining this? At some point back in the day, I assembled this figure and jokingly said, it's Grandad, because he has a moustache, and that's it, that's the end of the similarities. Then at some point, I gave him this slightly tumble-down car that's built kind of based on that little fire vehicle. Or did I lose this first? I lost this for a bit and then replaced it with this other one who also has a moustache. And basically, this was in like 2000 and... I'm not really sure when it started. But the point is, this... and at some point they gained these henchmen on the back, including Buzz Ed. And these two don't have names. And I assembled this little buggy, which, as you can tell from the yellowing, has spent a lot of time on a windowsill. So yeah, the point is, this little kind of band of misfits, I've had continuity throughout every kind of thing like this that I've ever done throughout my childhood, and the best place I could put them here was just kind of awkwardly in the corner, as if they're just kind of hiding out. Another thing I used to do was attempt to make each build have more streetlights than the last. I've definitely done that here. This bit of this construction/demolition site with the pipes piled like that, and the sign behind the thing, even though it makes no sense for this particular layout, and the shovel propped against the barrier is another weirdly specific reference to this. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was that there is the 3 stages of A Man Has Fallen Into the River. That meme from like 6 years ago. He's fallen into the river here. He's being airlifted to hospital here. And then over there, he's all better, and he's shaking hands with the doctor before he goes home. I managed to just about cobble together 3 versions of that same guy. Went through about 4 different pick-a-brick orders before I finally remembered to get those dark grey wheels for the remote control car. Unbelievable the amount of times I kept forgetting. I also kept meaning to get some 2x2 flat light grey pieces to go in front of that bit of the garage, like there are in one of the adverts or something, because there was a bigger vehicle there at one point, but I just kept forgetting to the point that I just put a different vehicle in there. There's a cobbled together from other sets but still surprisingly accurate Chase McCain appearance over there, and a Jack Black Minecraft Steve appearance for no reason whatsoever. Oh, and there's a bit of a burglary going on over here, which is kind of vaguely inspired by a couple of different of those layout things. Incredible second channel production quality you would never find anywhere else. There is a couple of creator sets in here as well. That's my enjoyment of sets from that era does also branch out to creator a little bit. And also movie sets. I had a whole bunch of those, and there's various characters from mainly I suppose technically both of them, but I don't have any actual sets from the second one because it wasn't that good, sorry. But yes, there's various cameos here. And fun fact, we've got a bath. A bath? Yeah, we've got a bath in the back room. Yes, we have. Fun side note, we've got a bat in the bathroom at the moment. Just thought I'd chuck that in. This, on the corner, is indeed a completely random Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure reference. I don't know why, but it's there. One of the bits of feedback I got in a kind of midway through the making of it meeting about the uni film I used some of this in was try and get slightly more dynamic camera movements, like try and get it more. A specific example given was instead of just having a shot of the person on the bench reading the newspaper, try and go from from the newspaper up to him and then to the statue. And I was just thinking, how nimble do you think I am, and how small do you think my camera is? Like, I can't, that's not possible. Before we improved the spare parts system, I was just putting spares in that skip. If you can't tell, it's quite full. Oh yeah, we're missing a piece. We're missing one of the kind of bars that holds up the car wash brushes, so I just put a worker there as if he's fixing it. Improvise, adapt, overcome. This airport is the 2016 one, which is an incredibly rare moment of me conceding that a slightly later iteration of a set is actually slightly better than a slightly earlier one. Oh yeah, also, use your imagination that the 2014 lifeguard boat is on those 2 base plates. We went on a Lego shop crawl, and I was hoping that one of the second-hand shops we went to would have it, but one of them wasn't quite what we thought it was. One of them was closed, and the other one didn't have it. I'll just poorly composite it in. So look at that, beautiful. This is a strategic use of a half-size road base plate from the fire station to get around this table leg. There's a few little things like that that roadworks sign on a clip and a dish that isn't technically from a set, but it is a officially recognised building technique because it was used in a couple of demolition sets and in an advent calendar once. A few other things like that cement mixer that I built based on a small set. There's something about really small. It's probably just because, back in the day I was a child, so would more often kind of buy a small set, but there's something about small sets from that era as well that just really satisfy. Oh yeah, the reason that there's a 70s era old lady and young lad on a moon buggy holding a bunch of flowers is because another tradition within the family is that every build has to have either a granny ship or a granny flower selling wagon, and a couple of times that they've been blended into one, and this is a token gesture to that. A few really minor things like that bench, the design of that bench, and also actually those chairs that I really struggle to tell what piece was used to hold them up in the reference material, and I eventually realised I'm pretty sure they're just pure brown heads, and I think they are because that's what I've used there, and they look right. Another thing I've always aspired to is using this Docks and City sign from this Racers set accurately, and it is accurate because the docks are there and the city is in that general direction. We've also got a couple of suave ninjas over there. I know literally nothing of Ninjago lore other than the fact that the green guy is called Lloyd, and the thing they do is spinjitzu, and that is it. But there's a token gesture. Although I will say, surely I wasn't the only person who was a child, before ever hearing it said out loud, thought it was Ninjog ah. Like, that looks like an A. Am I wrong? It's taking the tree with it.
Oh no! I got the tree wrong.
Oh no, tree on the line. I'm not even sure what the problem is. Oh, I might have not put it back quite right. A lot was already built when we got the train, so it's just kind of awkwardly over here, just so it has somewhere to go. Future revisions will hopefully better incorporate. It really won't go back up. It worked before, why is it? Also, frogs. There's some number of frogs hidden throughout.
There was like 10 or something, and then there was a butterfly.
Yeah, so...
Ignore the tree.
Yeah, not counting the tree, and arguably counting the ones in the pond, but maybe not. There are many frogs hidden. That brown one, for example, was once on that bit of wood, which was just impossible. And there is one, the reason I remembered is that there's one on the train there. I admit it was a questionable choice to put the one that destroys itself, so that the button to make it destroy itself was like right by where you walk. That happened quite a few times until I unhitched it. You do have to suspend your disbelief a little bit in a few places, like that car park is not actually very usable, and this Lego store is completely inaccessible. This specific fence and these pallets were inspired very specific, like very minor elements were very specifically inspired by certain things. The Northern Service is suffering from major delays due to a duffel coat on the line. This guy reading the newspaper next to the statue, by what I assume is sheer coincidence, it is really giving Joey Tribbiani, it has to be said. Originally I had all of that stuff from the museum that's over there in the museum, but then I realised you can't see any of it, so I might as well use it in the crime scene. Office for the gap. I was quite pleased with the amalgamation of the interiors of both of those. I take satisfaction from very minor elements of Lego displays. That'll do. Ignore the fact there's literally no way that massive aeroplane would ever land on this very small runway, especially when that tiny little one will barely even fit. Don't worry about it too much. Also, some amazing trivia. When we started this, I wasn't expecting to have to think so much about colours, because this area is very red, and this side doesn't have much red. I got that little fire car specifically to bring some red to over here, because it just kind of, you'd look at it and it would just kind of be, it would look too kind of organised.
Yeah, blue. It was like very black and blue down here. Orange, green only in the middle.
Even with vehicles, I'd be like, nah, I can't put
yellow.
Like I'm surprised that I've let myself have a moped and a red bike entering the same junction, because I feel like I can't have, and the fact that the two buses are heading parallel feels too organised. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I can't have too many yellow vehicles in one place. I need to split them up with a vehicle of a different colour. So yeah, I just wasn't expecting to have to put that much thought into that, but that was very much a thing when I discovered there was picket fence in the Liverpool Lego shop. Pickleberg, yeah, I was like, oh, I'm buying so much fence, because another very specific childhood dream was to just have like a long Lego fence that actually like wasn't just like 3 pieces. Another of those was to have more of that type of fence, because I only had that solitary one bit of construction fence, so I got a bunch of those on eBay. Always greatly enjoyed road signs as a child, and that extended to Lego, so they're a staple of whenever I would build anything. As are just my desire for more road plates, but I'll talk about that more when I talk about base plates at some point. I know that literally the second I stop recording this and put the camera away, I'm going to remember like 17 different things that I should have said but forgot to. But don't worry, I'm sure I'll just put them all in a pinned comment or something. Second channel, don't care. Goodbye. kind of too close. It really struggles with super close focus when it's
doesn't.
in video for some reason. Good luck. That's better.